Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 44th episode of the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. The intro caught me in a bit of a yawn. I wasn't paying attention there, and I was yawning during the music, so I was scrambling to be able to get the words out there. Ryan, how you doing? This Sunday, February the 25th. February kind of flew by, huh?
It is flying right on by. I'm doing good, coming off a reading week, so feeling a little refreshed here, going down the last stretch of my masters. But no, the Sens are playing some good hockey, so that's helping the mentals too. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, February's kind of flown. January was so long, it felt like, and then February's just kind of like over in a snap,
hmm
which is weird because it's like I don't really know. Like it feels like winter's over. I know you guys got a big dump of snow, right?
Yeah, like I want to say like 2 weeks ago there was a week straight where we got pounded with snow, but like the last couple days it's been really odd weather, just kind of circulating between a mix of rain, snow, and hail, and
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, like
it's
it's
so
it's
it's slowly starting to all melt around here now. I think actually like the next 7 to 10 days are supposed to be pretty nice. So
okay. We've been getting like we've only gotten like a few snowfalls this year. It's kind of crazy.
hmm
Like we like a few. So like I live in a little complex where like a snowplow has to come by and clear it so that we can all
right,
park and stuff. Because otherwise, no one would ever shovel. And I bet you that truck has come by 5 times this year.
yeah,
Like it's felt kind of weird. And it just feels like the snow's slowly just going away. And now that it's end of January, like the sun's out a lot more and sun's not going down till almost like 5:30, 6 o'clock
yeah.
now, so it's just pretty fun. But no, we're also finally getting through these dog days of the hockey season. I think, oh my god, the month the what I find it so exhausting when people start talking about the trade deadline in like early January because
Oh
the
yeah,
NHL trade deadline is so late. um like, when is it? March 9th, so that's still another 2 weeks away. Week in 5 days, 12 days
hmm
away ish, whatever. And so teams are going to be at like 62, 63, 64 games by then. And it's just, it feels late in the year. The NBA had theirs like 3 weeks ago. So I guess relatively speaking, it seems late. I know it's always been in March, but the
yeah.
trade
No,
deadline talk is always just so exhausting. So I'm just ready for that to be over.
I completely agree. Like I love the trade deadline. It's one of my favorite times of the year. But when we start talking about these three guys in Calgary for like
Yeah.
3 months, I'm over it. And like obviously in the last decade or so, the trade deadline itself has kind of gotten a little bit less exciting. So when you drag that conversation even out even longer, it's tough. It's tough. Tough getting through those conversations sometimes.
Yeah.
But now we're under 2 weeks away, so it feels a little bit more relevant for sure.
Like, God bless Noah Hannafin.
Yeah.
But thank God Pittsburgh's kind of reeling here, and it looks like Jake Guentzal's going to get traded. Otherwise, like
Mhm.
the two biggest deals of the day would have been Hannafin and Tanev, most
Yeah.
likely, and that's if they don't get traded prior, which Calgary has kind of shown a willingness to do, is to trade your guys prior. And that's also ignoring a potential like Jacob Markstrom trade or like a Yusei Saros, but like I don't think those guys are going to get moved before the deadline because I don't know. I guess we could kind of just get right into it. The standings are kind of a shit show right now. Teams that we thought would be bad are still good, and teams that we thought that would be good are still bad. Looking at Philly and New Jersey in particular, is there anywhere you want to start? Like, do you want to start Sens? Like they've been playing really well. Whether we like it or not, we can maybe get into that. We can get into Pittsburgh's demise. We can get into Montreal being on a what was it? 5 game losing streak, 2-7-1 their last 10. Leafs have rattled off 7 straight. There's a lot of streaky teams going in the NHL right now. I didn't even
hmm
mention the two biggest streaks, which are Rangers W10 and Arizona L11. So,
Yeah. I guess let's get the Ottawa talk out of the way. Let's do a few minutes on that. Um, Obviously, they've been playing better, 10-3-3 in their last 16. As our resident season ticket holder, what have you been seeing?
and two of those three regulation losses, like, just kill me
Oh
now,
yeah,
dude. Like,
yeah,
my God,
yeah.
they lost to Anaheim and Chicago. Oh gosh, it would look so nice right now if they were just tucked in front of Buffalo, but oh well. No, I think I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how to say. Like, it looks different. The process is good. Um, it's weird. The last few weeks, like obviously that comes with being 10-3-3, but there's an expectation that the team is going to be able to compete. Like, when was the Colorado game? That was probably, I don't want to say that was the lowest I got, but when they lost to Colorado, I think the final score only ended up being like 6-4. Like, it wasn't as bad because I think Ottawa got a couple of empty netters or a couple like a goal or two at the empty net.
Would that have been the one in kind of late December or the one more recently than that?
The one that was in Ottawa.
Okay, yeah, it's not the one I'm thinking of then.
Like that was, oh frig, how far ago was that? Okay, no, they had the one in Colorado. I'm looking at it right now. They lost to Colorado 6-4 in December.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Played Colorado recently. I thought maybe am I on the wrong team right now?
Yeah, no, they definitely played them at home more recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Okay, yeah, they lost 7-4. And that was probably like the most pessimistic but also like not caring I got because that was the game where it was 2-2 to start, but both Colorado goals came while Ottawa's goals were being announced.
Right.
And that was when McKinnon scored, like he said it was easy, right?
Remember I think that was the previous game, but yeah.
That was okay, that was the previous game.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be when they would prove that it wasn't easy, but then like whatever.
It was.
But then since then they've just been playing really well. Like I don't know what their record is since then because that game was in mid-January, but like you said, 10-3-3 in the last 16. Chabot looks like a different guy, which kind of has coincided. Obviously, like the big timestamp that you look at is 10-3-3 kind of coincides with Shane Pinto's suspension ending.
Yeah, when he's back in the lineup, they're 9-3-2, I think.
Okay, so pretty much the same thing. Like, so you could kind of attribute this recent stretch of play to the team finally actually like being together. And I don't know, just the deployment of the players has been really good. The lines are more balanced. Like they stopped trying to put Kubalik into like a scoring top 9 role and just kind of hit him on the bench. Like, did he play even 5 minutes last night? Like, I know that the fourth line got no time last night. It was kind of hilarious. Like, let's see. Kaslik played 6, Kubalik played 650, and Kelly played almost 8. So the fourth line's just not playing, which is good. Like, it's not a good fourth line. Get Parker Kelly out there for the penalty kill, and that's about it from that line that I'd like to see. And like the defense has just been a lot more structured because they stopped trying to put Chychrun on the right side because he's been a nightmare on the right side. Every time he's been on the right side, it's terrible. And I think people were, I don't want to say people were, and you know what? Chabot's been a whipping boy for the last 2 years, myself included. Like I've been
very hard on him.
Heavy on the train of I don't support Thomas Chabot as an $8 million defenseman. But it's been kind of clear over the last few weeks that it wasn't actually his fault. Every elite good defenseman needs a capable partner, and Chabot's never really had that. Besides Zub for like a stretch, but Zub's been very tied to Sanderson this season.
Yeah.
And Chabot, like Chychrun just hasn't worked on the right side. And so since they stopped trying to force that, and since they balance out the forward lines, the team's been really good.
Yeah, the defensive kind of structure they're rolling with right now, and obviously I don't know when exactly the point it was that they finally decided that Travis Hamonic was going to be a regular healthy scratch, but that has very much helped with this stretch too. So having, obviously, is it Chabot? I know last night it was Chabot, Brannstrom, but typically has it been Chabot, JBD?
Yes.
And then Sanderson and Zub and
Chychrun
Brannstrom. So those three pairings have worked really well. And another thing with the forwards, obviously the top 9 is really nicely balanced right now. I think Joseph with Timmy has been awesome. Like I think the combination of obviously Timmy's skill and Joseph's speed has been really fun, and it's kind of unlocked Timmy the last couple of games too. So that's been that's been huge for the Sens as well. Getting Timmy back on the right track. He lost it a little bit there for a bit.
Yeah, he just couldn't score. He was kind of snake bitten there for a while, but like he's gonna get 80 points this season, or at least he'll be right there. He's at 53 in 55 games. His scoring's down. He scored 39 last year. He's only at 14 this year. He'll get to 20, maybe 25 if he gets hot. But like, I don't know. You can't expect linear progression. Yeah. Like he got 90 points last year. It wasn't just a foregone conclusion that he get to 100 this year.
I'm not worried about him one bit. I think he's still top 15 in 5v5 points too. So
yeah. Well, yeah, that's the other thing too, right? Is everyone's numbers are a little bit down relative to last year because the power play's been so awful.
Yeah, he doesn't have a single power play goal. Like the offensive struggles have completely flipped from last year. Like last year they were almost completely relying on their power play and couldn't score a lick 5v5. Now it's completely the opposite. It's weird.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what they do heading into the deadline because, like, I don't want to say that this season's giving very similar vibes to last year, but like it really is because like they're out of it, and realistically, mathematically, they're out of it. I think I saw a thing that said they need to go like 18, 6-3 just to get to 92 points, and which is like the bare bones minimum for playoff cutoff. So like that's not happening. It's really encouraging to see them play really well. But we were saying the same things last year, right? Like those two games.
Yeah, sorry. We've said the same thing, like, I feel like the last 3 or 4 years. But
yeah, and so, like, I don't want to be, like... I'm worried that, like, if they keep playing really well, like, if they go win another 2 or 3 in a row this week, deadline's next Friday, they have, like, 6 games until the deadline even. So, like, let's say they go, like, 4-1-1, they'll be over fake 500, and who knows, maybe they'll have caught, like, Pittsburgh or something, and I just don't want the team to go and like trade assets for a guy.
No,
because that's what they did last year with Chicken, right? Like even though Chicken wasn't a rental, they kind of made a bit of an impulse move given the hot streak that they were on.
But the underlying facts this year are different than those past kind of 3 to 4 years. Like now there's a completely different management group in there. There's a new coach. So it feels a little bit more optimistic. Well, one for sure that they won't. I don't think they're going out to get...
I think that's because of the new management. I think that everyone's a lot more reasonable and down to earth. Like I think Dorian just like got excited and whatever.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go make a splash getting someone at the deadline this year. I don't see that happening whatsoever. Maybe a hockey deal, but I don't think they're adding to this group at this time.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the play, like it feels very different than DJ Smith hockey, so that gives me more hope too. Like the forecheck has been awesome. Yeah. Last night against Vegas at times, like that wasn't even the best example of their last little stretch, but there was times where they were really hemming Vegas, and it was nice to see.
Yeah, and it's nice too that there's like an exact kind of point that you can point to. It's not just kind of a fluke turnaround because last year there was no changes, right? Like the team just kind of started playing better, but this year it really coincides with like one of their most important players returning and the coach changing, you know?
Yeah. Like they did not get the new coach bump. I think almost the opposite. Jacques came in and had to break them for the first like 10 games. And then after that, they slowly started to get it and get it. And then after that, they got healthy, they got Pinto back, and they've just been rolling ever since.
Yeah, it's been encouraging to see. And like that game last night against Vegas, they get down like 2 goals early, and then they just slowly come back. Like that just doesn't happen last year or earlier this season or 2 years ago or what have you. Let's go a little bit further west in Ontario and take a look at the Leafs. They've won 7 in a row. They beat Colorado last night after again going down early. Matthews doesn't score, which is lame. But they've just rattled off 7 straight casually. First 5 of those were without Morgan Rielly. And
thanks, Ridley Gregg.
Yeah.
The Leafs should be saying thanks. And
it's interesting now because I think everyone in Leafland is kind of just like, okay, like go make a trade now. When 2-3 weeks ago it was like, no, we're just gonna like they don't deserve it this year, like it's not worth it, like whatever. And now it's like go get someone because I think they have the most goals in the East They have like they're top 5 in the league in goals scored this year. They have the most goals in the East by a really decent margin. Second most goals in the East is 202. They have 214. So they should eclipse 300 goals easily this season, which is kind of commonplace in today's NHL. But I don't know. They're just kind of flying lately. Like Marner's not scoring. I think he scored last night, but he had like I texted you. He had like 16 assists in his last 6 games or something ridiculous. And Bertuzzi's starting to score, and I don't know. It just looks good for them right now.
Yeah, I think they've pretty much changed my mind too. Like how you just described their fans feeling is pretty much how I've felt about them the last little while. I didn't think they should be making a big move to go for it this year. It felt like maybe not natural, but a transition year in some sense that they should just like stand pat. But the more and more I see what Matthews is doing, the more and more I think you have to not ignore that. Like you can't just let that go. You can't let that go wasted in a season like this. Like if you can't guarantee that he's ever going to be on a 70-point pace again. Like he's feeling it. The rest of the team is feeling it.
70 goal.
Sorry?
You said point. You said 70 points.
Oh,
70,
okay,
70
yeah.
goal.
No, I meant 70 goal. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he's having a special season, and it would be hard not to give him some help for that.
I think all along it was kind of one of those things where it's like, sure, like maybe it's not the right year, because you're not gonna win the division, you're not gonna like whatever. Florida and Boston look Boston looks quite beatable right now. We'll get into them in a bit, but Florida looks just absolutely unbeatable, and like it just didn't seem like the year. But like, if you're the Leafs, like when is the year then?
Yeah.
Matthews is as good as he's ever going to be. Nylander's as good as he's ever going to be. Marner is as cheap as he's ever going to be. Marner is also like as cheap as he's ever going to be. Like his number's not going to go up, down. Matthews is as cheap. Like all these guys are like, for better or worse, are as cheap as they're ever going to be. And they're all smack dab in their primes. They're all like between 26 and 28. Like you got to just go for it.
Yeah. And like, well, part of my pessimism towards them earlier in the season was the depth scoring and the goaltending. But like you look at the last week or two, and boom, Domi's scoring, Bertuzzi's scoring, Samsonov is he's relatively back. Joseph Wall is getting in games with the Marlies again.
Yeah.
So things are just kind of working. The major concerns I had about them are working themselves out right now. So I think if you can add a Tanev or something like that, a major piece to go for, especially with Boston kind of reeling a bit now. I think it would be worth it for sure.
Bobby McMahon's been scoring.
Yeah.
That's another one.
I can't believe I even forgot about him. He's
been a pretty awesome story.
Yeah, Bobby McMatthews, those two are just lighting it up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like in the last 2 weeks, like Toronto's all of a sudden their math to catch Boston is there. I don't think they catch Florida. I don't think anyone Florida still needs to catch Boston, but I think Florida's going to end up taking the division. But then, like, imagine a Toronto-Boston first round. Like, all of a sudden, it looks like it could happen. And I don't know. Like, I think Toronto obviously has a fighting chance. Every team has a fighting chance in every series in the playoffs, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like just get in and make your moves, because are we really, so speaking from the Leafs perspective, are we really gonna not waste, but are we really not gonna try to help out a prime year for our 4 members of the core 4, ignoring Tavares, substituting Tavares for Morgan Riley, like a prime year for those 4 guys, and like a tail end year, I guess, for Tavares. You're not going to go and help those guys out when they're like at their peak, because you think that like an Easton Cowan or a Fraser Minton or your 2024 first round pick, who isn't going to touch the NHL for another 3 or 4 seasons, are going to come in and make you a Stanley Cup contender. Like no, you kind of are going to go as far as those guys are going to take you. And so you got to just help them out as much as you can. And you just got to make the trades that you can. I don't know. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. I agreed kind of in theory with the logic about not making a move because this isn't the year. However, I think that's an approach you can take if you're New Jersey, because you've got all these guys locked up and cheap, and you've got all these guys super young. Like, the year to go all in isn't yet for New Jersey. For Toronto, it's every year until you don't have Matthews, Marner, Nylander on your team because of how expensive and the fact that they're right in their prime window.
They it feels weird kind of saying every year they really have a chance to get over that hump, but this year, like, I think we should transition into Boston now, but with Boston kind of falling a little bit now, I think this might be the year that they finally step back, but like, I don't know if we could ever say that.
Well, I mean, let's talk about them then, because we were just chatting about it before starting the recording. I think I said they're 2-1-4 in their last 7 games, and their 2 wins, one was overtime and one was a shootout. So that means they've gone to extra time 6 out of their last 7 games, and they're not winning those games, but they're racking up these loser points. They're now 34, 12, and 13. Like,
and like their last 10 games is 3-3-4.
Yeah, like, that's unbelievable.
Obviously they still have
they have 31 regulation or overtime wins.
Obviously they still
Florida
have,
has 37. I don't know.
They have basically the best tandem in the league and a really great decor, but at what point? Because their forwards are just, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're really capable of.
Like, it's Pasternak and then everyone else.
Yeah,
that's
really it.
As great as Brad Marchand is, like, he has taken a bit of a step back this year. He's still like an absolute star player, but he's not the superstar 100-point guy that he had been for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Pasternak is still that guy. He's going to be top 10 in Hart Trophy, maybe top 5. He's going to score his 50 goals, whatever. But, like, then you're looking at Brad Marchand, Charlie Coyle, James Van Riemsdyk is 4th on their team in scoring among forwards.
Also, props to Charlie Coyle having 48 points in 59 games.
Well, I mean, that's what's going to happen when you're the number 1 center for the Boston Bruins, right?
Yeah, I guess.
He's probably on their power play.
That's probably where they're finally starting to slip, is they still have nobody playing center for this team.
It's insane. So they're going to be really fun to watch for the next. They're going to be interesting. I don't think they're going to do anything at the deadline because they don't have anything to do, because they traded all their first round picks last year. And then promptly lost to the Florida Panthers. But like, going into the offseason for Boston, like, I think that I'm not the first person to have this thought, but like, I really think that they should, not that they might, I think they should use Linus Ullmark as a trade chip to upgrade their forward group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm pretty sure they also have a prospect, like a top goalie prospect on the come up, and Jeremy Swayman is just an absolute star, and he needs a new contract. So I think he's at $4 million. He's probably going to want to be in that 6, 7, 8 range that the top goalies make nowadays. And he's in his mid-20s. Linus Ullmark is in his 30s. I think he's got 1 year left after this one. So it's kind of all signs point towards Boston using a surplus position to a sort of address a position of need, which would be a top 6 center. And who they go get with that, who knows? But that'll be an interesting thing to watch as Boston kind of transitions further and further away from the Bergeron era, which left them the Bergeron and Krejci era, which left them very sort of barren down the middle. I've also seen Matthew Poitras's name kind of put in trade rumors too. I was kind of under the impression that he was kind of an untouchable, but I think we've discussed, like, he's not really a guy. Like, he's not.
I wouldn't place him untouchable based on his skill or talent level, but I would place him untouchable just based on what they have right now. No?
Yeah, for sure. But if you can use him to go and get an elite center, I think, like, if they could have used him to get Elias Lindholm, I think they probably would have done that.
Right.
But they didn't have a first round pick, which is probably not appealing to Calgary when they were doing those negotiations because Calgary very much got like a kind of similar level prospect at D in the Brodzinski guy, and then they also got the first rounder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Poitras. Whatever. Poitras. I mean, he's got 15 points in 33 games, averaging 13 minutes as a 19-year-old. So
yeah, that's the other thing.
There's definitely promise there.
That's the other thing too, is that there's cost certainty with him. So even if he's not going to be like your franchise anchoring centerman, like I think maybe people might have been hyping him up to be after he was a 19-year-old who cracked the opening day lineup for the Boston Bruins. Like he's going to be a guy that can be in your lineup for the next however many years that you have him. But with that comes he has trade value, and with that trade value, you can probably acquire someone better that's more fitting of a top line role, because who else do you really use in the trade? I know Boston has guys they could trade. I know 32 Thoughts has kind of mentioned that they have guys that they could trade and they have prospects despite their like lack of picks over the last few years. But I don't know. They'll have options. I think anything centered around a Linus Ullmark trade package can get you a really decent bit because everyone's always looking for goaltending.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's so many teams always looking for goaltending, and Ullmark's been one of those guys that has proven that he's been able to do it over the last stretch of his career.
We won the Vezina going away with it last year. He had like a .940 save percentage behind like the greatest regular season team ever, but what have you.
No, but like he was, I don't know his numbers exactly, but he was still pretty decent for those bad Sabres teams.
Oh, he was really good for those bad Sabres teams. That's why everyone was kind of like, oh my God, like he's going to be awesome in Boston. And then he ended up being awesome in Boston. Yeah. I don't know. That'll be interesting. Maybe at the start of the offseason, assuming they haven't gotten anyone yet, we can look at potential trade targets for Boston. But I think they're going to be really quiet leading into the deadline.
Probably.
All right, let's move in a different direction. Speaking of giant trade targets, it kind of seems like Pittsburgh, I don't want to say they're going to be waving the white flag, but they're 9 points back of the second wildcard spot with 3 teams in between them, 4 teams that they need to pass just to get into the wildcard spot. They do have games in hand. They have the least number of games played in the East right now. They have 5 in hand on Tampa. But there's been a lot of smoke around the Jake Guentzal trade rumors. And Ryan, I want to know where you think he ends up.
I don't know if I know where he ends up. I know where I want him to end up, and that would be in Edmonton next to Connor McDavid.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Like that's one of the, I guess, bigger spots that he's been kind of connected to. So that's where I want to see him go. I want McDavid to get all the help he can get to finally get as far as possible into the playoffs and potentially get a Stanley Cup. And I think if they are targeting a forward as their main priority, which kind of feels like they are, I
wonder how they would do that.
I'd love to see that, because
Edmonton has $2 million in cap space. They're actually under the salary cap right now, which is kind of crazy. They're not using LTIR, which is really surprising given Edmonton's roster construction over the last few years. What picks do they have? Oh, they have all of their first round picks. They have their second round pick this year. They absolutely could. And I know they have prospects, whether or not they've turned out over the last few years. If you go to Pittsburgh and you're if I'm Pittsburgh, I would be really interested in a Philip Broberg, even though he hasn't quite turned out that's a really high upside guy. I think ultimately this Jake Guentzal package looks like a Mark Stone type package, except with a first round pick instead of a second round pick. And I think Vegas is going to get him. I know no one wants to hear that, but Mark Stone was just placed on LTIR, and Vegas has never shied away from doing something like that. And I think Vegas also has all of their first round picks still. Let me just check that. Vegas has all of their picks except for their 2025 7th rounder and their 2024 4th rounder. They also have an extra 7th rounder from the Columbus Blue Jackets this year. So somehow the Vegas Golden Knights have all of their draft picks for the next 3 years. And they have Brendan Brisson, who has come into the league and looked like a legitimate NHL player. He's a former first-round pick for them. And they all of a sudden have $6 million in cap space that they can use. $6,012,500 that they can use in a trade. And Ryan, if you would like to wager and guess how much Jake Guentzal makes against the cap.
I mean, I love where you're going with this. It's $6 million.
Jake Guentzal makes $6 million.
But I think they're actually going to have more than that, because that's Eichel on the LTIR, right? And then, oh no, they'll have less then. And then, because Stone isn't on the LTIR yet. He's just on IR.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I had those mixed up. So Stone's on IR, Eichel's on LTIR. So I think those guys are going to flip.
Yeah.
Which would give them a little bit less space. But, like, we're talking about $500K. And Pittsburgh would 100% retain to maximize value. Because
if they
on a 1-year guy.
Yeah, you retain down to $3 million, get a sick package for him. I think it makes a ton of sense. Vegas is always going for the biggest player on the market,
and that's why I think they're going to get him.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know. Like I just think it'd be so cool if Vegas just was like, fuck it, like we're gonna get this guy. We're just gonna get the next big guy.
Yeah.
And then imagine somehow they managed to re-sign him, because like I think they have Marchessault and Chandler Stevenson coming up. Like they would have the space. Like it would be no, they probably wouldn't, because Guentzel's number is going to go up beyond 6. But anyway, like even just going and getting like the biggest rental imaginable as soon as Stone hits LTIR, and then Stone returns from injury in mid-April, like it'd be classic.
Yeah. It would just be so Vegas.
It'd be so Vegas. And Edmonton's like never really been one to make that big move. I guess they went and got Elkholm, which was big.
Yeah.
It wasn't sexy.
Yeah, but they also just have never really done the big move for a forward, right?
Yeah, like I think they're one big trade that I've, like in all these years now that they've been a contending team, I think their one big move was Ekholm. I can't think of other times where they've made like a huge move. Like obviously they've done big stuff in free agency with like Jack Campbell, and then the Evander Kane thing was weird, but whatever. And then Zach Hyman too. But like in terms of trade, I can't think, because they've used a lot of their first round picks over the years, right? Like they had Philip Broberg in 19.
They just don't hit.
They drafted like Dylan Holloway, Xavier Bourgeau or whatever his name is. Like he was a first round pick, and they just haven't worked out, which really sucks for them. But because it'd be really nice to have a bunch of like 20, 21, 22-year-olds that were first-round picks making ELC money in your lineup right now, contributing, which has just not been the case for them. But when you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you tend to find a way.
Yes, sir.
So, Ryan, if you had to bet... Oh, did you say bet?
I mean, I just heard you say bet.
Speaking of bet, we know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet... Oh my gosh, there's some text overlap. Bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Big slate of games this Sunday afternoon, evening, night. I'm looking at the Tampa, New Jersey game as the game to watch of the day, as both teams sort of race for that last wildcard spot. I think New Jersey's going to pull it out, mainly because I want them to pull it out. That game is a total toss-up. The Devils are favored. They have a minus 142 on the puck on the money line. So I'm going Devils, except I think it's going to be a 1-goal game, so I'd lean Tampa plus 1.5 on that one. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. Wait, what? The website is a phone number? Interesting. In New York, call 888-778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved. There's a baseball podcast that I listen to. I mean, it's not like a small podcast or anything. It's Talking Baseball from John Boy, and the guy that reads the ads for them has been really struggling in the last like few months when they switched the ad reads from actual numbers to the spelling of the number. So instead of 4 sevens for the phone number, it's actually spelt out 7777. And for whatever reason, that trips me up. And I never understood why it tripped him up. And now like it's impossible. Reading numbers, like the wording of numbers is weird. I don't know. Okay, Ryan, let's pick one place to wrap. Should we do like a free agent? Yeah, because
I have 3 teams I kind of want to.
There's 3 teams. Okay, I wanted to throw out trade deadline names and see like where you think they're gonna go. But maybe we can end the show with that because that'd be kind of fun.
Okay. Let's
just with
hit
the big names.
Let's hit on the Rangers, Yotes, and Canadiens really quick.
Okay. So the Rangers have won 10 in a row. They are running away with the Metropolitan Division. If Florida didn't exist, they would be my favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. I really, 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 really want to see a Rangers-Panthers Eastern Conference final. Mm-hmm. I think that series would be nasty. And frankly, I just want it to happen. They've won 10 in a row. They are 39-16-3. I remember people were kind of starting not to write them off, but like no one would ever dare write off this Rangers team. But when they were kind of high 20s wins, mid-teens losses, like people were kind of starting to worry because they started out the season so elite.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with the play of Igor Shesterkin too. Like he was not nearly his elite self. But as of recently with this streak they're on, obviously he's kind of figured things out.
Are you looking at his numbers right now?
Not game by game, no.
Do you want to know his last 6 appearances?
Sure.
So 28 out of 31 for a .903 save percentage. Not crazy good, but they won that game. Yep. Next game, 29 for 29, shutout in a win. Next game, we'll ignore. The game after that, 41 saves on 42 shots. The following game, 39 on 40. And then last night, 39 on 40. The one that we ignored was he let in 5 goals on 41 shots. But they also won that game. Yeah.
So we'll ignore that one because it does not fit our narrative.
It does not fit the narrative. But he's won 6 starts in a row. He's fully taken the net back after his midseason slump that saw Jonathan Quick just become like the best backup in the world. And his goaltending, like his save percentage is all of a sudden 9 points above average. League average goaltending this season is I think at .901. He's at .909. And it's just climbing. And so 10-game winning streak. Shesterkin himself is on a 6-game winning streak. And if I'm the Eastern Conference, specifically the Metro Division, I am terrified of the New York Rangers.
Yeah, they're running away with that division. Panarin's his normal self. They've been getting nice contribution from Lafreniere. His numbers are up a bit. Kakko, unfortunately, is still.
Oh my God!
I don't know what they're gonna do with that guy, but no, having one of the best goalies and basically the best defenseman.
You got to think that they use Kakko as like basically salary, right?
You would think.
You would
I think he
think
cannot continue on doing 11 points in 37 games
and playing what? He's playing 13 minutes a night. He's not on the power play.
No, get this guy somewhere else.
Yeah, like use his trade value for what is left of it, which I would probably value at a 3rd round pick just because of his draft, like literally only because of his draft pedigree. Like we're now talking about a 22, 23-year-old who's been in the league, who's on his second contract, and who's been in the league for next year. I think would be his 5th season. Actually, this might even be his 5th season. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, just use him. I think he's making 2.3 million, maybe whatever. Like, use him as salary match because like if you send him out, you can bring in a almost $5 million player, and that's assuming the Rangers don't have any space. Let's see what they have. And it's not like this
is spitballing, but
Rangers have $4.4 million in deadline cap space, so that's actually really nice for them. They could probably do something without having to include Kakko, but he's also not a guy who's strictly a salary dump. Like he has at least a little bit of value to a rebuilding team as a reclamation project.
Yeah, like I don't know how they value him, but as a Sens fan, would you do Kakko for Tarasenko?
Straight up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. I don't know how they would feel about that.
Like it's a very rich man's version of Tyler Mott for Julien Gauthier.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I see that. Like I don't want like I don't care. Well, let's just make sure that we like keep Kakko for more than 10 games.
Right.
But no, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you get
I didn't know where you saw Kakko because I feel the same way. I don't think that would necessarily go through, but
I don't hold Capo Kakko on this pedestal, but I would rather him than a second round lottery ticket.
Yeah,
because there's a good chance, there's a very real and legitimate chance that second round pick never touches the NHL, and if he does, it's probably in 2027. Capo Kakko, for better or worse, is an NHL player right now, and he has second overall pick draft pedigree, and if you sneak him onto that second power play unit, he's a right-hand shot, which Ottawa just doesn't have at forward. No, I would absolutely be over the moon for that trade if that were presented to the Senators.
All right, last thing on the Rangers, Matt Rempe.
Oh my god,
absolute bull in a china shop.
Like, talk about coming into the league and just becoming a cult hero right away.
4 games, averaging .346, and has 27 penalty minutes and 3 fights.
That's unreal, dude.
Legend.
That is unfucking believable. 6th round pick in 2020. Averaging .346 is so funny, man.
So funny.
Oh my god.
Because he got kicked out of 1 game. He's had, the 3 fights. So that's 5 minutes each in the box for those. And then he's on the 3rd pairing. So he's just not. It's funny.
Is he a defenseman?
It's a great story.
He's a forward.
Oh no, he's not. I don't know why.
He's a 6'7"
He's a
center.
He's a centerman.
He's 6'7", 240.
That's hilarious.
Like, it's unbelievable. So he's Chara just fucking killing guys playing forward. Like, and they already have true, like, so that hit on Nate Bastian, you saw that, right?
Yep.
The hit on Bastian, like, so bad. And then, so Rempe gets, I think he had his fight or he got kicked out or whatever. But then, like, later on in the period, Trouba tries to freaking kill Nate Bastian. And I'm just like, oh my god, the Rangers don't give a shit.
That's so funny.
They don't give a shit. Them in Florida, they don't give a shit. And I love it.
It's so good.
Like, isn't that so, like, F you, I don't give a shit about your team. My guy just killed you. You broke your nose. Like, you had to go back to the room. You probably were in concussion protocol. And as soon as you come back, I'm trying to take your head off. Like, I think Trouba fell after he was trying to throw the open ice hit. Like, it was nasty. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't think I've seen this Trouba
really?
One, but I completely believe it. Yeah.
Okay, I want to send it to you so I can get your reaction in real time, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it easily. Trouba, Nate Bastian. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Ryan, fill the dead air.
All right. You know who else is doing kind of decent on the Rangers? If I can find it again. I know we said we were finishing on the Rangers, but since he's looking for one more Ranger guy, I'm doing a terrible job at filling this air.
Well, you're talking, so it's something.
Yeah, you know what? I love their tandem too. Like, Jonathan Quick coming out of nowhere to be, well, not nowhere. Obviously, he's been a great goalie for a long time, but I just assumed he was done after kind of that whole Blue Jackets to where did he go after?
Who?
Did he go to the Rangers right after the Blue Jackets?
Panarin?
No, quick.
Well, he never played for Columbus. He went to Vegas and won the Cup.
Okay, it was Vegas.
He got bought out, went to Vegas, or maybe
Yeah.
Vegas acquired him. But then he
Anyways,
signed.
so after that happened to him, I thought he was just going to retire and kind of be done. But he's really kind of held the load for Shesterkin here while he's kind of struggled a bit halfway through the season. So
I know you listen to 32 Thoughts religiously as I do. They've been really beating home the notion this year that the most valuable player. Oh, I found the video. Okay, go to Twitter.
Okay.
But
last thing on quick, he's 13-4-2, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, with like a .917 save percentage. Like he's giving them legitimately awesome goaltending as a minimum contract backup goaltender, which 32 Thoughts has really been hammering home is like the most valuable player in the NHL nowadays.
Yeah. Oh my God, Trouba.
Like it's at the start of the second period, and I imagine that's about 2 minutes after. So
he leapt into him. Did he? Oh my God! Did he even get a fine or anything for that? Because he absolutely should have. Whatever.
I'm watching it now too because I didn't see like all the fighting stuff after. I just want to see. It's so funny, man.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad. Like he didn't actually connect too. He sent Bastian flying, but he tried to kill him, and it was 18 minutes left in the second period. So my headcanon, because I didn't watch the game, I need to start watching Devils Rangers games. My headcanon is that Bastian left the bench in the first period to get stitched up and stuff, came back in the second, and then 2 minutes into the second period, Trouba tries to kill him after. After Rempe already basically did.
That's wild.
I don't know. Like the Rangers are just so like F you, we don't care, we're good, and you're not. Like it's I don't know. I really fuck with the Rangers this year. And seeing them at MSG was really cool too. Like I don't know, seeing them in the same year that they're good is cool. And then like Florida's awesome. Like Dallas, like these are the teams that I'm kind of like on the little bit of a bandwagon / like watching with, I don't know, watching from a distance because I think those are going to be involved in the Final Four. But yeah,
we've somehow dragged this to 47 minutes already.
Well, yeah, and we didn't even get to the last two teams you wanted to talk about. You wanted to talk Arizona and Montreal, who are both now fully in tank mode.
I mean, that was
like there's not really much to add beyond that.
Yeah, that was just to round out the pod, but essentially, the Ottawa's now past Montreal, so Montreal's in free fall. And then obviously Arizona losing 11 straight. So the race for Celebrini is in full force.
Yep. It's kind of perfect for Arizona though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Play well for 50 games and then just kind of fall out of it. So show that your guys are something. Show that you're doing something right, and then just the last 30 games just fall out of the race. And
yeah, this is perfect. Like you either would have, I think they would have been okay making the playoffs this year if I don't know. Like I don't think they necessarily need another top pick to really build around what they've got right now, but just missing the playoffs would suck for the position they're in right now. So definitely going on this losing streak is more beneficial for their long-time future.
And that's kind of the conundrum. Same thing with the Flyers too, right? The Flyers were supposed to be like a lottery team, like top 5 slacking for Macklin type situation. And now they're in the playoffs and you better pray that they hold on to that, because if they miss out, instead they'll end up with the 15th pick and it would really suck for Flyers fans.
That Flyers even more so because I just talked about how like Arizona may not need that another high pick, but Florida does. Or sorry, not Florida, Philadelphia.
I actually disagree with you. It's too bad we're so far into the pod on this right now, but like they have Mitchkov coming.
Yeah, but that's who else?
Who cares? Like they've got this like base filled out. Travis Konechny's sick. Sean Couturier is there forever. They've actually got like decent defense.
Yeah.
They like I know the Carter Hart stuff sucks, but like but like they've got Sam Urson, and I think they've got another guy too in the minors. Like Florida's kind of building. No, fuck. We both said Florida. Philly's like kind of building a base, and I think
I just think they could definitely use another one of those kind of foundation type players. Like I'm not sold on their defense at all. This is a heavy defensive draft. It would have been nice, I think, if they could get another one of those, but they're going to be in the playoffs. So.
I think they're doing the Minnesota thing though. Oh, Owen Tippett too. Like he's a star.
Where is Minnesota gone? Nowhere.
That's true. That's a good point.
Nowhere.
That's such a good point. That's such a good point. They were good for a few years though, and then they did the Suter and Parisi buyouts, and then like just fucked off.
Yeah. Anyways,
I don't know. Like,
anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe following a Minnesota mold isn't the right philosophy, but I don't know. They're building a base, and they have good players, and Mitchkov is on the way.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But all right. Yeah, that was good. I'm glad that you were like, "Where's Minnesota going?" Because all right, let's wrap.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually like Philly. They shouldn't be good, but they are, and they're franchise guys on the way. They're franchise guys on the way.
Mitchkov gonna save the day.